Hi Cancer, I'm Anisha. To know more about my work, you may visit my website www.TarotbyAnisha.com. For those of you who are seeking deeper clarity in your personal charts, in your love lives and in your career, you may write to me for a personal consultation at TarotbyAnisha@gmail.com. Cancerians, May is a month of retrogrades. We're beginning the month with a Mercury retrograde that carries on till about 23rd of May. We are already having a Mars retrograde that carries on till about June. And now Mercury is an extremely quick moving planet, and when he reverses, he triggers in each of us a period of reflection and reorganization. In fact, any word with a prefix of re can be easily attached with what a Mercury retrograde is trying to reflect. It's a great time for you to be redoing, rewinding, reflecting on the work projects that you may have undertaken. And for you, Mercury is retrograding in a part of your chart that speaks about your friends. It speaks about groups of people with whom you share a similar passion, a similar goal. And this is a time wherein that Mercury is trying to get your attention over here. In fact, I think the easiest way to know that which part of the chart is really getting activated or it's really going to be affecting us is to look at as to where it's retrograding at. And Mercury over here just wants you to pay attention because something about the house, and for you it's a house of friends where he is retrograding, he wants you to rethink in order for you to be moving forward again. And it can be that some of you may have lost your way a little bit and you need to simply be reflecting on what is it that needs to get done. Either way, Mercury in his own way is tapping you on the shoulder and coughing loudly so that you can turn around and look at him. Cancerians, a lot of you are going to be catching up with your friends. You may bump into some very old friends unexpectedly. On the other hand, this transit also indicates almost a kind of a withdrawal from the social scene for a while, and which may happen by choice or circumstance. And it may be that you need to be taking some time to really figure out who you really are and whom it is that you want to hang around with. And most often this also happens when they can be, say, too much of time has been spent socializing and there's not enough time alone. You can expect some amount of misunderstandings with this aspect, and be sure that you have the right end of the stick before you cross them off your Christmas card list. So be a little careful, Cancerians. Be careful of gossip and rumors because they can play havoc with an otherwise good relation. You look at people who add value to your life, as cliched as it sounds, but I think at times we have amongst us people who are simply more accessible, but they may not be really adding value to our lives, so we hang around them because they may be it may be that they have more time, or it's just more convenient, or you just work together and so on and so forth. But it's a time wherein you will be moving away from its mindless socializing, and you will really want to be with people who are your friends, or even who add value, and vice versa. And try not to sort of indulge in unnecessary gossip, as juicy as it may sound. Try and sort of stay away from misunderstandings. You may end up losing some good people before you just sort of take a decision on some hearsay over here. It's an absolutely wise thing for you to be doing during this retrograde is to hear no evil and speak no evil. And however, I think it's also a good time to be weeding out connections which really are no longer serving you. And Mercury, when it retrogrades in this part of your house of friends and groups of people, it really helps you to discover as well who your really friends are, and why it is that you move in the circles that you do. So they can be a sort of almost a revelation about yourself you'll have when you'll realize that, so you may be telling your friends, I don't like partying and I don't like doing all this stuff, it's so tiring, but you'll realize during this retrograde that maybe that is exactly what you have been doing. So some amount of an insight about yourself. The keywords for the retrograde for you Cancerians are reconnect, regroup, reconvene and reform. We have Jupiter that is going direct in your house of communication and siblings community, and this is happening on the 9th of May. Now Jupiter, while he's a great benefactor, he's expands, he's a giver, he's, I think, one of the most beautiful planets that is there. He's the god of sky, but and when he's going direct, he's obviously galvanizing everything for you. But also what he does is that the lesser known aspect about Jupiter also is, because when he's giving all this entire energy, it's also, some bit of it is also that purging. So along with that entire good, there's some amount of that toxicity also that's get released. So it's going out, and then it's coming in. And over here, because it's there in your house of communication, you'll find that all of a sudden, you're being very articulate, you're communicating very well. And for those of you who are in sales, you'll just find that you're doing brilliantly well. And even for those of you, I think, wherein that you have been having a tough time telling someone how you feel, the right words will just come to you magically. And I think for those of you who are in again, specifically in marketing, sales, it's a great time to be doing your presentations. It's a great time to be meeting those tough clients and going out and putting your bit of it ahead. Also internally, if you've been trying to push for a promotion, I think it would be great if you can, because you are going to be really persuasive, and you are going to be making a lot of sense as well. It's a good time to be going and speaking to your superiors, to your bosses, and asking for maybe an expanded portfolio, or maybe that key role that you've been looking for the longest of time. For those of you who are single and you're looking, it's love is literally going to be in your neighborhood, because this aspect is, besides communication, it rules your community, it covers your community as well. And it's a time where you need to be just getting out more. Maybe just instead of the gym, just take that extra walk in the park. Maybe you need to be taking your dog out more for a walk, and meeting people more locally, and even figuring out who lives right next door to you. And it's also, I think, because there's a lot of focus in communication, for those of you who are writers or are really in the creative field, you're going to be really inspired, because there's a lot of positivity in thought, in speech, and in pen. And it's a time wherein, if you can take a short trip, it could be, again, I think it's just going to be expanding and opening up your mind to something that you could have been battling with for a while. Maybe at times we go through a certain problem, we try and sort it out, and there's just no answers, and you just sort of leave it on a side. And for you, I think this short travel, it's a short distance travel, doesn't really speak about this really extended thing. It's just going to sort of give you that clarity, and you're just going to be having this eureka moment and saying, oh, now I know how this entire thing fits in. So do that. And even I think for those of you who could have been struggling to write your book, or maybe there's a little bit that you're struggling to in between or ending the book, I think this little trip may just do the trick for you. There is also this particular house, your house of communication and siblings community, also speaks about agility. And I think you need to be really flexible and not so worry about being accepted, Cancers. I think there has been a lot of pressure that you've been putting on yourself, that wanting to say the right thing, wanting to do it in the right way. So now I think with the Jupiter going direct and giving you that entire confidence, use this sort of cosmic support, and you are going to be feeling quite brave is not really the most apt thing to say, but I would say, you just from inside, you're going to be feeling really confident. So use this entire energy to say what you really want to say, and don't worry too much about the consequences. So just speak up. It's a great time to be picking up another language as well. For those of you who have been thinking for the longest of time that maybe you should be learning something more, because your memory is going to be literally, it's going to be retaining everything that you learned right now, and you're going to be a sponge for information. So try and pick up a language, and you'll be able to just absorb it really well. We have an intense full moon that is there in your house of day-to-day chores and your work as well. and this is aspecting around 21st of May. And a full moon lunar eclipse is normally far more intense than what a new moon energy is, because it's, you're normally closing things during this time. You're coming to a full closure. Either we are finishing a project, a relationship, or there is some kind of a clarity or something that is coming to almost an end. You've sort of closed a loop. So it's generally far more emotional than a new moon is. And for you, because it's there in your house of your work and it's in your house of your day-to-day chores, it's really not a very intense place for a full moon to be, but it will take you an action in the sense. So if you have been dissatisfied with your work environment, say for example, you'll probably have a very strong desire to quit that right now, and just ensure that you have a plan in place if you do so. And being a professional bum doesn't really work out as well as you think that it would, so try and be a little careful. And on a positive note, you could finish a work project that you could have been sitting on for the longest of time, and your routines it may seem more mundane than usual, and they can just be a desire to make some change, and you're just going to be having this restlessness that I don't want to be doing this entire thing day in and day out. And there's just going to be so if you have been thinking about it on and off, you'll just have this desire increase more. You're just going to be feeling it far more strongly. But try and not to, Cancerians, get too over emotional around this time, and don't get too crazed into making this sudden and overwhelming changes which you won't be able to handle. So be happy with a little, make a little bit of change, but just try and not go nuts and just say that I can't handle it and I'm going to throw it all off, and I'm just getting off and going and hiding somewhere in a cave, or I'm just going somewhere. So don't do that. Do make a change. If there is a plan B, if you've been thinking about it, ensure that you have been applying and you're getting out of the place. And if you really can't, then try and ensure that you are out maybe every weekend, or you're getting those small breaks as much as possible. We have Venus that is there in your house of behind the scenes spirituality, and Venus is an absolute opposition with Mars that is there in your house of day-to-day chores and your work. And both these lovers are at war with each other around the 24th of May. And it's a very interesting aspect because this is happening right after the full moon that is there. So you have clarity, something has come to a sort of a closure, you have decided, and not just decided, I think it has just sort of surfaced for you, and you're in this really intense emotional space. And then this entire drama between the Mars and Venus happens. And because Venus is there in your house of behind the scenes spirituality, and also it's a house of secrets, and it's also the house at times of it's the house also of undoing, it's self-undoing. That's a place also where we hide stuff, secrets. We don't want others really to really know what our motives are and what's really going on at the subconscious. And you are not really going to be feeling very affectionate. And though Venus is there, and Venus is this lovely, soft energy which is going to be, making things gentle around it, but you're really not interested, and also because you are some way seeking a far more deeper connection with people around you. I think this entire not just superficiality, but I think you're going to be looking at things very differently. You're going to be asking your questions like, what does this person add value to my life, and why should I be spending so much of time? And you're going to be seeking your own company more, and it's not really as I wouldn't say bad or even lonely as it sounds, but I think there's going to be clarity of that. You would rather not sort of waste your time doing this stuff, whether it is superficial or it's not adding value or it's not making you grow or evolve, but you would rather spend that time with yourself and maybe do things that you enjoy more, which you may not have been doing for a while. So I think it's a time wherein that also there could be a relationship that has begun in secret, because it also speaks about clandestine relationships as well, and because it's all behind the scenes, it can be that something could come up more. It can be that you now want something more out of this relationship, and because it's a house of undoing, be a little careful, Cancerians. Try not of be careful with whom is it that you're sharing this particular information with, with whom you're involved, and because it's clandestine, obviously there is some amount of a social taboo, or it's not accepted, and hence be careful about stuff coming out in the open, and generally things getting a little messy over here. We have Mars, that is there in your because it's there in your day-to-day chores and your house of work as well. Try and sort of not rush through stuff. There will be a need to finish things off very quickly. There's just this lot of impulse around it, lot of I have to do this, I have to finish it, and not really worry about how is it that it needs to get done. You just want to sort of get over with it. So be a little careful, and because this energy can just turn into anxiousness. You'll just end up feeling like really worried and terrible about it that you have not done. And try and also sort of stay away from arguments, especially at work. And so if there is stuff that's happening around you, just sort of this month just keep your head down and do whatever it is that you need to be doing, and don't sort of bite the bait. With the full moon, I would say the focus with the full moon being there in your house of work, and then again we have Mars that is there. It can be that some of you are finally coming to terms with either a project that, or even a job that you're walking away from. And also because you have been thinking about this for a long time, with Venus being there in your behind the scenes, I think it's a great time where you can take some time off. If you can just take even a short sabbatical, I think it will do wonders for a lot of you. I think take this time to just sort of rethink stuff on where it is that you want to work, what is it that you want to do, the kind of people whom you want in your life, the kind of people who are there currently in your life, what value do they add, do you want to be with them, also things which are there in, if there's, like I said, it indicates a relationship which is behind the scenes, clandestine. If it's not making you happy, where is it that you see it going? So take some time off, and just sort of, you're being given time to sift through these things and figure out and see as to where and how it is that you can sort of move ahead. And you have the cosmic support, Cancerians, this month. So I think it's a fantastic month for a lot of emotional growth, and just sort of allow yourself to be, and don't worry so much about what is it and how it is that people are going to be perceiving you. It's been a pleasure speaking with your Cancerians. A quick reminder for those of you who are seeking deeper clarity in your personal lives, be it your careers or your love lives, you may write to me for a personal consultation at TarotbyAnisha@gmail.com. I'll see you again next month, and thank you so much for watching.